All right, there we are. There we are.
Here we are.
Slight false start. Oh, my fridge is closed. Okay, good. Uh, I hit start streaming and then realized I forgot to get my beer out of the fridge. So I'm back.
The most important thing, and you forgot it.
That's right. Most important meal of the day, and I
Yeah.
just forgot.
It's John's all meals of the day for a while.
Exactly right. Anyway, welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 230. That gets weirder and weirder every time I say it.
I know, right?
Your once weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm Steve.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Wednesday night or in podcast form over on Anchor.fm or wherever your favorite podcasts are found, not Plex. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, usually some Star Trek. We read all super chats on the air so long as they will not permanently demonetize my channel. We drink alcohol on the show, and if you're drinking along with us, alcoholic or not, let us know in the chat, and we'll give some early show shoutouts as we go along. Last but not least, if you'd like to take part in the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to my Discord server, where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, and keep the party going with the awesome community that hangs out over there.
Yep, we do hang out. We hang out a lot.
Tech Potato says Wednesday night? No, Thursday morning. Well, have a beer anyway.
Yeah, Thursday morning. I mean, John has a beer for breakfast every morning for the last couple of weeks, so
you're not working anymore. You can.
Yeah, come on.
you can have a beer with us.
Yeah, it's a breakfast beer rito.
Drink of choice: Havana rum. Havana rum flavor. We Are Little's instant coffee. It's 4 a.m. after all.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That sounds pretty solid.
I do like a little rum and coffee.
Yes.
Especially dark rum and coffee. Dark rum and coffee is excellent.
Oh, super good. Whiskey and coffee, in my opinion, way overrated.
Yeah, I haven't had one that I actually really enjoy. I prefer rum and coffee.
Right, you end up with ethanol and bad barrel flavor in coffee.
Yeah, burnt bitterness and ethanol.
Right, it takes away everything that's good about the whiskey, and it takes away everything that's good about coffee.
Yeah.
It's just not good. Whereas rum and a little sugar kind of accentuates things that are in the coffee.
Yeah.
Although Bailey's is best.
Yeah. Oh, what did I have? There was one that I had that was like quite excellent. It was one of the Bailey's flavor. I can't remember which one it was, but it was quite good. Yes, Bailey's is quite good.
All right, Steve, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah. Last time we saw you, you had the little St. Patrick's hat on, and
that's right. It is no longer St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
And the hat is gone.
And you fully recovered, I assume?
I did.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the St. Patrick's Day hat tumor has been removed successfully.
No hypnotoads under there, I'm assuming.
No.
Okay, good deal.
brain slugs, you mean? Brain
slugs. Yes, sorry.
Brain slugs, yes,
sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, the other entity that takes over all thought.
Although I do have a brain slug somewhere.
Nice.
I got that for Halloween or something one time. I had a brain slug.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah, because I went as Fry's Halloween one year.
Yeah.
And so I have a brain slug somewhere.
Yeah, it's the last time you shaved too.
Yes, I think it is.
Yeah, for a couple weeks there, I was like, that's weird.
Yeah, I know. I think I even so I could wear the scariest thing for Halloween. It wouldn't phase my kid, but if I shaved, then he's freaked out.
Yeah.
And he's like, "That's not my dad."
Right. Who are you? My kids have never seen my chin, ever.
Ever? Never ever?
I've been married for 16 years, and I have been clean shaven for literally like 4 days in that entire time.
So they have no idea.
Yeah, and it has not happened in the last 9 years. So my oldest is 9.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, Steve, speaking of most important meal of the day, what are you drinking tonight?
Well, today I went to a local brewery for lunch called Ancestry Brewing. And so I thought I'd pick up a couple of their beers for tonight. And the first one I have is Ancestry Brewing Belgian Tripel. It doesn't have a name. It just has this label on there that says Belgian Tripel.
Belgian Tripel.
That's all it says. 9.25 ABV. And the other one, which is an even more sketchy label, is Ancestry Barley Wine, which is handwritten.
Nice.
Was just called barley wine. So, and that's 11%. So these are both part of the small batch series. So I'm hoping that there was some extra care put in them.
Nice.
And that they will be delicious, because these are two styles that I really enjoy.
Oh, barley wines are delicious.
Oh yes.
Steve and I were talking just before the show, and he mentioned that he went to Ancestry Brewing today, and I know I've been there, and I've had beer from them, but they're a brewery where every time their name pops up, it's like, oh yeah, I've had them. Well, what have you had there? I don't remember.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Their staples, I have to say, are pretty forgettable.
Yeah.
But today for lunch, I had one of their triple IPA hazies, quite good. And I had a bourbon barrel aged cherry chocolate stout, also quite good.
Sounds
so
good.
yeah. There's specialty one-offs, pretty good. Their staples, you know. So
I'm going with some slightly lighter stuff today. I've got a Ninkasi Prismatic Juicy IPA.
Oh, it was good.
Which is always a fantastic one.
Mm-hmm.
From Migration Brewing, we've got a Straight Outta Portland IPA.
Oh, did I have that one before? I think I might have. I don't know.
It was a pretty short run, if I remember correctly. I haven't seen it in stores for quite a while. I just happen to have a can left.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it came out like maybe a year and a half ago.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And then if the need calls for it, I've also got a third beer in a Founders All Day.
All Day IPA.
So,
oh yeah, you're hitting the classics.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to start with the Straight Outta Portland from Migration Brewing.
Okay, I'm going to have the Belgian Triple.
Yeah, save the barley wine for a little later.
That's what I'm going to let it warm up a little bit anyway. It's been sitting in the fridge for a wee bit.
Let's see. We do have a couple super chats. American Cosworth sends over $2. Thank you so much, good sir. Jeff, Screwball Whiskey and Snowboarding.
Screwball Whiskey.
Whiskey.
I do not like that stuff. That's the peanut butter flavored whiskey.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yes. When I first had it, I'm like, oh, you know what? This is pretty good. You can really taste the peanut butter flavor.
But what do
then after like, yeah.
What do you do with it?
Right, exactly. So all you could do is drink it straight.
Yeah.
I tried mixing it with other things, and I just couldn't make anything good.
Yeah.
And then so like, well, I gotta drink this straight. And then after a while, I'm just like, this is gross.
Yeah.
It's too sweet. It's too peanut buttery.
It's an interesting novelty. I'm glad I tried it.
Yes.
I would never, ever, ever get through a fifth of it.
No.
There's
no,
just
I had to every time people came over, like, hey, try this, you gotta try this. I'm like, oh, that's really peanut buttery.
Yeah.
You want any more? Nope.
Good. I tried it.
It's like, that's all you really need.
Sean sends over $5. Thank you very much, Sean. Rooftops Tank Ride at 8.5% and Makeda Porter at 5.8%. Not familiar with either of those.
But... Not either. I don't know any of those breweries. I wonder where they're from.
Yeah. Let's see. We got a couple more in here. Michael Stevens has a New Belgium Voodoo Ranger IPA, 9%. So speaking of a classic. Novella from Heist Brewery is drinking a Citriquential Double Dry Hopped IPA at 7.1% from Charlotte, North Carolina. Skull's got a United Art collaboration with Toppling Goliath, Juice Drops Mango Lotus Hazy IPA. Let's see. Are there any others right off the bat? Mackenzie Brewing, Bulldog Premium Stout, 5.9%. That's from Jason.
Okay.
Yeah. And Hops and Brews, Mr. John is having an Everybody beer, aggressively relaxed Imperial IPA, 8.5%.
Yeah, he's got to drink those. I mean, drink. I guess it's the same thing for him. Those big IPAs, they're the big high ABV ones to get them calories.
Oh, that's good. It's light, fruity. It's a little juicy.
This one's not bad. As far as like a Belgian Triple goes, it's okay. Do you ever have like the new Belgian Triple?
Yes.
It's very similar to that.
Okay. I wouldn't be disappointed with that.
No, I'm not disappointed in there. I mean, because like I kind of put the standard like where Benedictine puts theirs, because it's like right down the street, right, and I can get it just about whenever. I'm like, that's a good Tripel. So when I don't get that, I'm like, I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah.
I know I shouldn't be disappointed, but I'm a little disappointed. But it's still good. It's still good.
Tech Potato says, drink something you can chew. That would be like a potato vodka, but I have to wait a while.
Something you could chew, I guess. Old yogurt that's gotten a little runny.
There you go. There you go.
You can chew and drink that.
Isn't Canar supposed to be kind of chewy? Like I have a bottle of Canar.
I don't know. Is it supposed to be chewy?
It was supposed to be like super syrupy.
Oh.
Or super viscous. Not the stuff that I have. The stuff I have is just red wine.
Well, boba tea's got like those little bubble things.
That's true.
Chew on those
things.
There you go.
Chew on a little boba tea.
You know, it would be great because I saw this experiment where they made alcohol blobs, like you can pop them in your mouth. Now, if you could do those as a boba,
they were doing the Tide Pod things.
Yeah, it was like a Tide Pod thing, but it was like filled with alcohol.
Who did that? Who did that?
That was the cocktail chemistry guy.
Cocktail chemistry made some, but it was because a company, I believe it was Jameson, came out with literally the edible cocktails.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was trying to do that himself. So he's like, it looked like a little gel blob that you popped in his mouth and it explodes, that type of thing.
Tapioca beads. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. Starting with a pretty good story or article about the right to repair and the availability of parts, and how some companies are starting to do the right thing, quote unquote. So this is from The Verge. Normally I throw out anything from The Verge, but this one's from The Verge. The era of fixing your own phone has nearly arrived, with iFixIt fresh off signing Google, Samsung, Valve, Microsoft, Motorola, and more to be a parts carrier for cell phones and consumer devices. I think that's a great start.
Yeah, always good news. Yeah.
It's always good news. My fear is this. These moves where they'll say, "Oh yeah, we'll provide you OEM parts, and you can sell them to whoever." It's not necessarily going to lead to exactly what we wanted with right to repair, because this may still be a single source or single vendor tie-in.
And they can still control the price and the cost.
They can still exactly. And just because iFixIt has a deal to sell parts from Samsung or Valve or, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get multi-vendor access to parts, be they OEM or third party. So this is one facet, and I would say it is a very important facet and a very important step. My fear, though, is that these companies are going to use this partnership and use iFixIt to tell the Justice Department and Congress, we sell parts. Look, here's a store. You can go and you can.
We got one.
Right. You can buy parts for the latest 3 Samsung phones. And we sell a variety of parts that a consumer would realistically be able to install themselves. Notice I didn't say all. I said that we, the company, determined they may be able to. So while it's good that Samsung is now selling their screens again, and that Valve has said we're going to provide replacement parts to iFixIt and they can sell to consumers, it's not like you can still swap out a logic board. It's not like you can still swap out a fingerprint sensor that's gone bad. And it's not like you're going to be able to buy parts for 3, 4, 5-year-old devices that the manufacturer no longer wants to support. but the manufacturer may continue to block third-party devices from being installed in their phones and laptops and handhelds and so on and so forth. But use this initiative and use these agreements to stop any actual legislation from going through to force them, or to force the issue. And
like giving them an inch so they don't have to take that mile.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I said that when Apple unveiled their user repair system, which required a core charge and only was specific parts for only very specific models. And Tech Geek says, dude corrected his mistakes on LTT video though. Cool dude. Yeah, Stefan's a cool dude, and I never held anything ill against Stefan, but I did and still do hold very much a grudge against The Verge for their complete handling, and not only of that situation, but many other situations. Only parts? What about manuals? What about testing software? Exactly, as Ian brings up. They're trying to give an inch so they can avoid being forced to go the whole mile when it comes to right to repair. Because right to repair is more than just, 10% of a parts library.
Yeah.
The right to repair is the right to fix your device, be it through any means, and making the means available and accessible. So I like this news. This is good news. I don't want to get down on this, because good for iFixIt for seeking out these partnerships. Good for Samsung, Google, Valve, Microsoft, Motorola, etc. for forging these partnerships. Don't stop here, though. Don't think we've won.
Yeah. It'd be nice if we'd be able to replace circuit boards and other parts and stuff like that we normally just can't get. I mean, half the time now when anything breaks, you have to send it in and hope that they'll get it back to you in time.
Right. Yeah. I ran into this issue. We just bought a brand new car back in August. We bought a brand new 2021 Toyota Sienna Hybrid.
Stuff.
First model year. I normally don't like buying first model years, but this one came with the hybrid as standard instead of having the top end model still be a V6, which means you get 35 miles the gallon instead of 16 downhill with a tailwind. But with the same, similar towing and load capacities and things like that. We got every feature that we wanted, and it was roughly the same price as if we just bought a V6 used one from a couple years ago. That was great. But our first service came up. We needed to get an oil change. So dashboard thing went off. Hey, go get your service done. Your first 5,000 service. I said, okay. So we called the dealership. They were 2.5 months out from being up. If I didn't schedule the day I bought the car, I couldn't get it serviced within 30 miles of me. So I went, well, I'm not going to destroy this new motor because Toyota themselves can't service it. I'll just take it to, a local oil and lube place and just say, hey, just do my oil, please. The oil and lube place can't get the motor oil that's certified for this engine because it's a brand new engine, and
it's a brand new engine. They don't have
Toyota hasn't released any specs nor released the formulation for it to be made. So I got my windshield cleaned and all my lights tested, which they're all LEDs, and they said, yeah, sorry, we can't help you.
Wow, there's not oh man, that sucks. So you got to wait 2 months just to get your oil
So we had to wait 2 months to get our oil changed, which
Wow.
means we had to stop driving the car for a couple of weeks because
Wow.
I'm not going to do anything that could jeopardize a warranty. I'm not going to go, 3,000 past, especially its first service when it has break-in oil in it.
Right.
Oh
my God.
Well, that's one dented prismatic.
Oh, you might. Well, let's open that one next and see what happens.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
There's a lot of electronics there. That'll be fine.
Yeah. But, yeah, it should be in the car manual. It is in the car manual. The thing is, that specific formulation of oil that they want for this, which is the thing with the hybrid car is the engine's only on some of the time. and it comes on and it's immediate in the rev range, because you can go up to 45 miles an hour in EV mode.
Yeah. And then if it kicks onto the engine, it's got to be revving up.
Yeah,
there.
and so the engine will kick on from dead flat and be expected to just go at 3,000 RPM. And so there's a specific formulation of oil that they want in this particular engine because of the demands that are being met of it and the duty cycle of it and everything else. Which does make sense. I mean, as a consumer, I'm benefiting from this because I get 35 miles the gallon instead of 16 miles the gallon with the previous technology. I will certainly take that as a win. The problem is, I'm now locked into the Toyota dealership for getting service, and my service was 2.5 months out.
Yeah. You're at their mercy.
Right.
At this point. Yeah. And so if they're like, no, we can't do it. Now, I don't get it. Because you're in Salem, but I think there's only like one Toyota dealership down there. Is there two?
There's only one. There's one in Salem. There's one in Wilsonville. And other than that, you go Portland or Eugene. Like, there's nothing in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to go Auto Row in Eugene is the next closest.
Wow. Yeah, I know the Wilsonville one is. I've seen that. You can see it from the freeway.
Yeah.
Help.
Yeah. So, but going back to right to repair, don't let the companies who are holding all the keys right now convince you that this is the end of the road, that this is what you wanted, this is what you asked for. This is not what we asked for. This is kind of barely a first step.
Yeah.
It's a good step in the right direction. But
first step, there's a lot more. There's a marathon to run here.
There's a lot more there that's needed.
Yeah. Definitely. So we hope to see more good news continuing on like this. But got to keep that pressure on.
Yep. Exactly. Plex announced that they will end podcast support on their platform on Friday.
Yeah. So, you use Plex at home, right?
I do. I use Plex quite a bit here.
I do as well. Have you ever used the podcast feature?
No.
I don't know.
I have 30 other apps that I would rather use first than Plex.
No, me too. I mean, I like to listen to podcasts quite a bit, but it's usually when I'm doing things around the house. So I'll stream it from my phone.
Right.
And I'll put some wireless headset on and I'll do my thing and I'll listen to a podcast.
Yeah.
I never once considered using Plex to do that.
Yeah. Here's the thing with Plex, and I mean this is just coming from a user and a reviewer standpoint. Plex got so good at what it was good at, and that is self-hosting your media library.
Exactly.
Converting your old DVD library and having them available on demand for all of your devices wherever you go. That's what I use it for.
Great.
That's what pretty much everyone else uses it for.
Great for that.
Right. Yes. Same thing with music consolidation. It's a great library that you can stream your music to. Independent of an iTunes tie-in or a Spotify account or anything like that, especially for those of us who had massive CD libraries and things like that. And so
I use it for that as well.
Right. So it's amazing for that. The problem is, I feel like Plex almost painted themselves into a corner with the self-hosting aspect of it. And so now that they're aggressively reaching out and trying to forge new relationships and bring services that are not self-hosted into this environment, they've done two things. They've kind of a little bit alienated their main base of users. Because I use Plex because I don't want to be advertised 30 different movies or whatever the flavor of the day is and who paid for a front page spot. But now all of a sudden, every time I log into Plex, I've got notifications that, hey, live TV is now available on Plex. Hey, link your Disney Plus account to Plex.
It's like, yeah, I know. I got that too.
And
like, I didn't want that. That's not what I wanted.
Right. And I was a little let down by that. And it's not that it's probably a pretty darn good service.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. I had because I saw the where you can link to other
Mhm.
accounts, and I thought about using it, but I'm like, do I really want to?
Mhm.
I don't know. I think you're right. I think they got to a point where they did what they set out to do really well,
Mhm.
which is the self-hosting of the media, and that's something that a lot of people like and seek out for. But then they kind of got that mastered. It's like, where do we go from there?
Yeah.
How do we justify this dev team that we have? What do we do? And they probably like had these just tons of ideas, and they started just putting out the requirements and like, oh, let's start cranking them out.
Right. And to be fair, there's some decent movies that are on Plex for free. If you don't mind watching a couple ads, and if you don't mind, not self-hosting. But like I said, they kind of painted themselves into the corner of being the rah self-host, build your own library kind of thing.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, things that I never downloaded, I had no desire to watch, are now being suggested within my Plex application every time I boot it up. And I've got a Plex pass. I've got a Plex lifetime pass. And as Tech Geek points out, for $10, thank you, Tech Geek, paid for a lifetime Plex pass, and I 100% don't regret it. Perfect for all my totally legitimate trademark movies and TV. Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what I use it for, is all of my totally legitimate season packs of whatever the current show is that I totally owned the DVDs for prior to getting Plex.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so
Totally
I mean, so it
legitimate.
looks like it's like maybe they're taking a step back and maybe trimming off some of that fat. They're like, okay, we're not really doing this. No one's really using it as a feature. So let's just kind of cut it out. I did actually notice kind of last time, when they started adding features, that the interface is starting to get a little cluttered.
Cluttered, right?
A little cluttered. It's like, what are these icons and what do they mean exactly? So I liked it when it was just movies, TV, music. All right,
And
that makes
only
sense.
what I added, and
only what I added. Yeah, exactly.
right. And it kept track of it, and it organized it, and it made it all easy to watch on any device. Now it's getting a little complicated, and it's not quite what I wanted when I set it up.
Yeah.
So, but I can't fault them for trying to continue to grow and bring in new customers. And
like I said, they've really mastered what they set out to do, and then now they're like, what do we do next?
Right. Well, subscriptions are the way of the future.
Yeah, well, they are. I guess you don't. I guess if you make a product that is a subscription-based thing, that's how you're going to keep making money.
Right.
Otherwise, you have to do like Microsoft does and release the same thing over and just move menu items around, so people have to train to find out where they're at again.
Yep. Or be like Microsoft and have a contract that says you have to release a new version every so.
Yes. Yeah.
Allegedly. Yeah, or offer a service that has been free or ad supported in the past, and then make it a premium service that has a subscription tied to it, and see how your user base dies off, a la New York Times, CNN, World Press.
Oh yeah. What's that? CNN Plus, like they had this big announcement, and they got like what, maybe 10,000.
I had
at that.
I had dozens of ads across my Twitter timeline for like a week and a half straight about sign up for CNN Plus and get, it's like, oh, they're going with a premium service now. Okay.
Right.
And then, yeah, like me and millions of others, no one signed up.
Yep. Yep. I think like one day after they released it, they already had like slashed the price to half. Like, hey, we got a special one-time offer, lifetime half off.
Yep.
Still not that many takers.
You know what you should be a taker on? Today's video sponsor.
That's correct.
Right. Today's episode of Talking Heads is brought to you by Linode. If you've ever needed to host your own servers, whether it be for home or business use, but don't have the resources to invest into hardware, power, cooling, time, or even space, Why not let Linode host them for you? If it runs on Linux, it'll run on Linode. That includes the software from most of the tutorials on my channel, like how to run your own ad-blocking recursive DNS servers, VPN gateways, your own cloud-based Plex server, speaking of, and more. With shared CPU plans starting at as little as $5 per month and scaling up to as high as you need to go, you'll be able to find a hosting plan that fits your needs. Even if you do host your own servers, you can use Linode to keep a backup off-site, because remember, RAID is not a backup. Linode also recently announced they are the first alternative cloud provider to have NVMe block storage available to all customers. In September, they began rolling out NVMe drives to all 11 of their global data centers. Best of all, storage rates will remain at the same low price they always have been. Visit linode.com/craftcomputing and get a $100 60-day credit just for signing up for a new account. That's linode.com/craftcomputing, and a huge thanks to Linode for continuing to sponsor Talking Heads and this episode.
You can get Linode in your abode.
Would you Linode in a house? Would you Linode with a mouse? You know, there's something to that.
I think we talked about this before.
There's an ad spot there.
Yeah, I know. I think there is.
Would you self-host with a mouse? Would you?
You got yourself a Cat in the Hat type costume or something like that. A la Mike Myers.
I was thinking like reading Rhett to sleep or something like that.
Oh yeah, get Rhett a binky, get him a little blanket.
Dad, read me a story.
Teddy bear. Yeah, there we go. Make sure he's got a real big beard and a bib.
Denver, $10. Magnuson Moss Warranty and Repair Act. I am well aware of the Magnuson Moss Warranty and Repair Act. You cannot be required to use manufactured parts or oil. They try, but you'd win the lawsuit. Here's the deal. You have to go to trial. You have to sue them. You have to prove who has more resources.
Yeah.
It's not me.
Usually you have to get like a class action lawsuit to fight those type of things.
Right.
You need a whole bunch of people that are willing to put it together, because they cost a lot of money. And then usually what happens is you might get $30 at the end. Right. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, look at the monitor price fixing that was happening in the early 2000s. Look at AMD FX and the advertising.
Yeah. Well, they had that just recently. They had the class action lawsuit against NVIDIA and their
the 9400 or the 9000 series cards. Yeah.
No, it was the 970. It was the.
Oh, that's right. There was the 3.5 gig versus 4 gig 970.
They called it 4 gig, and there was 4 gig, but only 3.5 was the actual fast RAM, and then the other was the slow one.
It was because of the memory controller that they had on it was only capable of recognizing 3.5, so you could recognize up to 3.5 at full speed, but then you had to share channel 1 with the remaining 512.
Yeah. So there was and I had a 970, and I was like, well, they're gonna get a class action lawsuit. I'll take it.
Yeah.
And I think I got $90 out of the deal.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But here's the deal: Toyota will eventually make that oil and that formulation available and known and whatnot, because there are laws protecting automotive consumers, and there are protections in place to guarantee that I have that right to buy oil from not only Toyota but from anyone else. The problem is it's still not available right now. And Toyota's been a little slow about getting that information out there. So
you want to know why they're being slow? We'll go on to our next news story, and you'll find out why.
Yeah, there you go.
Because they're too busy.
Yeah, because they're too busy fighting you and I already. Yes. Speaking of the automotive industry, seems to be a trend for this week, so we'll continue that right along. Honda. Yes, that Honda. Just ordered 3D printable download websites to remove any 3D printing model that contains the word Honda or any related nomenclature from their site. So any Honda logos, any car recreations, anything like that that's misappropriating their brand. Unfortunately, the takedown order also came against user-created 3D parts that were accessories for cars that are well within fair use. Yeah, this is a terrible precedent if true.
And the biggest tragedy is that you cannot download and print a 3D figure of E Honda from Street Fighter 2.
Right.
They took him out because he's got a Honda in his name.
Yeah. So yeah, Honda has essentially blacklisted anything referencing the word Honda prior to March 30th, 2022. And all models with the word Honda were removed from printables without warning. And as they say, this not only included, Honda logos and emblems and things like that, which are legal gray area as far as, branding goes. You can protect your brand and your image and your trademarks, but also included speaker brackets and key housings and replacement parts like hood latches and shifter bushings and washer fluid caps, roof latch handles, trunk lid handles, etc., which are legitimate third-party non-OEM parts.
Yeah. Which
is perfectly legal. And you can advertise it as being for a 97 Honda Accord because that's the vehicle that it fits. That stops being a trademark at that point and it becomes a part list for what vehicle it will fit on. Yes. Which is completely legitimate to advertise.
Completely legal. Oh yeah. Like you want like an extender in your cup holder to fit a giant big gulp? Well, yeah.
It's actually a very common thing for C5 Corvettes and 350Zs is cup holder 3D printables. Because the cup holders in both those cars are awful.
Tiny. Yeah, teeny tiny. So they're like, I want the Homer Simpson size one. And so yeah, they will try to get rid of those. Those are completely legitimate to print out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do like everybody in chat are talking about you wouldn't download a car. They're trying to stop us from downloading a car.
I would totally download a car.
I'd totally download a car.
Not only would I download a car, I heavily considered trying to download the model of the DB4 and putting because there was a project that was going on for a long time of a guy who got a 3D scan of an Aston Martin DB4 and was 3D printing himself a shell to put over a tubular chassis. And I thought that would always be just the coolest project to embark on.
Oh, yeah.
Is 3D print whatever car you want.
Yeah. And at that point, I would totally download a car.
Right. I mean, I've got a 3D printer. Like, why wouldn't I drive whatever car that I want?
Yeah. I mean, it may take you like just a god-awful amount of plastic filling and forever, but yeah.
It would be a nightmare for finishing, fit and finish, assembly, like, make no bones about it, 3D printing is a manufacturing process. It's not, it's not a Star Trek replicator.
No.
Unlike what Star Trek Picard would like you to believe, that a resin print popped up in about 3 seconds and he didn't need gloves to grab onto it, or, isopropyl wash it and then put it in UV to cure it. No. He could just take it out and read the numbers straight off that definitely printed in one pass resin model.
Of course.
At least it was on supports. But yeah, it's not an easy process. But back to, this particular, story, let's see. I can confirm that we have received a letter from a lawyer representing Honda informing us that we were required to remove any model which used Honda in the listing, the model itself, or one of the several trademarks and logos also associated with Honda. So that would be Acura. That would also be any proper model or any proper make/model of a Honda car. So I wonder if, the element stones from Ocarina of Time had to be removed. If
Oh yeah, elements. Yeah.
yeah, your Civic podium got removed from your D&D playset. I mean,
all kinds of crossovers.
Yeah.
You probably find. Yeah.
yeah. And that was according to a Prusa spokesman that talked to the Drive. And then also, quote, this will also be related to the naming of files. As for Honda, this would be considered a violation of their trademark and patents. And I can kind of understand protecting your trademark and patents. Like I said, I have no problem with Honda taking down their logos. Illegitimate use of their logos. Mm-hmm. However, it's still kind of... This is Domino's suing Samcrack for buying one of their pizza rolling Chevy Aveus at auction. Like, just because someone buys a car doesn't mean you still have rights over the livery that came on that car. In much the same way, putting a brand on your car that you already own may be considered fair use in some trials, but again, you'd have to go to trial to prove it. Fair use is not a blank check.
I would think that too, because like it's a known logo and people are printing them out, but are they using that logo and that thing for themselves as a representation that they are from Honda?
Mm-hmm.
Now that would be definitely illegal,
right? Misappropriation of trademark.
Misappropriation of trademark. Right. That would be. But if, like you said, if it's just fair use, people are printing it out, and especially like when it is just blatantly just something that Honda doesn't provide, mm-hmm. they're going a little too far with that. They're casting a really, really, really wide net.
Yes.
And I think that could get them into some trouble.
This terrifies me in particular, and I hate the term slippery slope. I hate it because no one ever uses it right. People often use slippery slope as a thing to discriminate against people. Like, well, first we allow them into our classrooms and our neighborhoods, and next it's cats and dogs sleeping with each other. It's a slippery slope, I tell you. Like, it's okay, boomer. That's usually the argument. This is actually a little bit of a slippery slope when it comes to trademark, patent, cosplay, etc. Because who here cosplays? Who here has ever made something from a TV show, whether it be for personal use or to walk a con floor with? If you're a paid Twitch streamer or you're making these replicas professionally on YouTube or in some other media, I'm looking at, Bill Duran props, Punished props. I'm looking at Adam Savage. I'm looking at all of these other figures who are taking trademarks which they have no legal right to, remaking these parts in 3D space, showing the instructions on how to make these things, all while not owning the trademark, and supposedly it's all fair use and all fine. But we also get cases of B is for Build getting a cease and desist from the owners of Gone in 60 Seconds for the use of the name Eleanor when he was recreating a Mustang project.
Yes.
In his garage.
And I totally like cosplay as a 1993 Honda Civic hatchback, and I go to conventions. I mean, I don't go into the convention.
Steve actually identifies as a 1993.
I cosplay, so
CRV
I have
hatchback,
to stay in the parking lot. I have to stay in the parking lot. I can't go inside because cars aren't allowed inside.
Right. Sorry, CRX hatchback.
Yeah, CRX.
But so you can no longer cosplay as a Honda Civic.
No, I can't. They're gonna take that away.
There's not many layers of separation between you cannot write Honda for this 3D print fits a 97 Honda Accord door latch, to here's a Honda logo, to here's a recreation of Luke's lightsaber from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
There's not that many steps when it comes to trademark, patent, etc. law. So is this kind of the first step of we're going to start seeing C&Ds for user recreated models on 3D printing websites? Is this?
Yeah.
Are we going to start seeing C&Ds for people who are cosplaying professionally, dressing up and selling photos of themselves as, characters from The Witcher or Mass Effect or
and all this is going to do is it's going to make sites that let you download these things shy away from it and just capitulate because they don't have the resources to fight Honda or bigger
Right.
companies. So they'll just be like, okay, we'll capitulate. We don't want to have to try to fight this.
Right.
And then all those things are going to start popping up in your local torrent sites, and pretty soon Pirate Bay is going to have a whole section of like, here's a car you can download. Yeah,
Right.
you can download a car now.
And where's the limit of derivative work when it comes to fair use and creating a 3D model of something that you saw online or from a TV show or from a movie or a video game or whatever else? Is it a derivative work if you created a 3D model from scratch versus you based the STL off of an acquired asset from a 3D model that was in the game,
right,
versus you did photogrammetry and recreated it, including textures and whatnot? Like, where's the line of what is fair use and what is not when it comes to cosplay elements and when it comes to replacement automotive cars that have been designed by the community? Automotive parts, excuse me. Automotive
or
cars.
even automotive in car enhancements, like you were saying, like
right.
the cup holder thing and stuff like that. That should be completely fine, completely legit.
Just cosplay as a Linux ISO. Any racing games having a 3D representation of a Honda car. Actually, racing games always license the cars from them.
They have to.
Because they are making money off the brands and logos of those cars, which is why every time you fire up Forza or Project Cars or Gran Turismo, it says that the logos, likes, images, representations of these cars are owners of their perspective, or are owned by their perspective trademark holders. That is a blanket license statement that's on the opening screen of pretty much every car game, because car companies defend their rights, which is why you don't see name brand cars in games like BeamNG, because they didn't pay a license.
Or GTA, any of the GTAs. That's
GTA,
always, they're always kind of funny. They always have the knockoff names, which are great.
Right, the Croquette.
Yeah, exactly. Those are always fun. I mean, but they look, like you can tell what kind of car they were meant to be, but they're not. They don't have the logos on it. They kind of have an off-brand name, so they can't do anything with those. But then, hey, we don't have to try to license that car for a game.
That's why Porsche was not in Need for Speed 3.
Yeah,
is EA couldn't afford the license for Porsche, so they went, screw it. We'll put McLaren and Chevy and a couple others in there. Go Porsche. So I use Slippery Slope, but I see a direct correlation that a lot of copyright and trademark holders could make on 3D printing websites. Not just on 3D printing websites, but extending even into real, IRL scenarios with cosplayers, with people who have designed parts for specific things that are too close to a copyrighted or trademarked patent, doorstops.
Oh yeah.
There's a doorstop that you can print that is one piece that goes onto the wall and it's a little socket about like this, and then you print a nub that goes on that and it's a ball and socket, doorstop lock, so it'll hold the door open. Someone probably has a trademark on that, and I guarantee it's not the 3D printer modeler who put it into Thingiverse or put it into Printables or wherever it happens to be. Fractal vices are real devices that you buy from real companies. Is the 3D fractal vice based on an existing trademark or patent? We don't know. So we're getting into some really legal gray area with a lot of these things. And it's going to be really interesting to see which direction trademark, patent, license, etc. law ends up going in this realm, because it's very unexplored.
Now, we did miss the super chat.
Yes.
I don't know if it goes back there.
Saw it from Denver. Sorry, we had already moved on to the next subject, so I didn't want to like derail us back into Plex. No offense.
Right.
So Denver sends over $10. I still appreciate the $10. Truly legitimate Plex user here, Plex DVR only, and I've been testing the Discover for the past week. Initially, I was horrified, thinking the DVR feature would be removed, but gosh darn it, it's well done. That's good to hear. I actually have never used the DVR feature in Plex. Like I said, I use Plex entirely for self-hosting my own library, and probably 85 to 90% of my library is the DVDs that I owned from 20 years prior. So if you look closely in some early videos of Craft Computing when I'm setting up my very first server rack in my house, you can see one of my servers has 3 DVD drives in the front of it, or 2 DVDs and 1 Blu-ray.
Just for ripping all your stuff.
I was ripping all my stuff. That system was running like 24/7, copying my library and my parents' library and my wife's parents' library, and like anything that we could rip and get our hands on, it went into that server.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't torrents, it was straight rips.
Oh yeah, you can go to like Goodwill and get like 15 copies of Miss Congeniality 3.
Right.
All you want.
Right.
It's completely legit.
Right.
50 cents.
Yep.
It's yours now.
Oddly enough, there are 16 copies of Miss Congeniality 3 on my Plex server. You can choose which release. You can choose which language.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Any way you want. Getting close to being done with this. I'm actually liking this more and more now that it's warming up.
Nice. I still have a Dr. Pepper from.
There you go.
All right. I'm actually just done with my beer as well, so I guess it's time to crack open the prismatic that I tried to crack open on the tile floor a moment ago.
Oh yeah. Well, let's see if it's. Oh, it's totally fine. Yeah.
It didn't hit that hard.
Well, and then Kasi has those space-aged cans that don't shake the internals of the beer.
Yep. Perfect pour, or is it going to flow over?
Oh, yeah, that's pretty nice.
Look at
that. Oh wait, I think there's something.
No, that's glare off the light. I'm going to move it. See?
Wow,
right there.
look at
Look at that. Perfect pour.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Let's see. Denver says, I use it to stream 100% legally, self-host my own library until ripping isn't a gray area. Ripping is not a gray area as long as you still own the original. You can still stream from a ripped copy. That has been well documented as far as your rights as a consumer go. When it comes to software, that's a little bit more of a gray area, but again, software is just a copy of the original anyway, and so, yeah. But
now sharing that library with somebody else,
that is
in another state.
Yeah, now you're crossing state lines. You're getting the FBI involved. Going on there. Like,
I don't think they're gonna care.
I don't think.
But you know.
Right.
That would be the most embarrassing thing ever, to get busted by the FBI for sharing Miss Congeniality 3 with your cousin who like lives in California.
I would rather plead guilty.
It's like, what are you in jail for, son?
Yeah.
I let my cousin stream Miss Congeniality 3. Whoa!
He watched all 16 copies.
Whoa! Leave that guy alone. He's hardcore.
Ian says, I reserve the right to modify the contents of my DRAM. Right?
Right.
But no, taking a backup copy of media that you legitimately own and even playing from that backup copy, so long as the original remains in your possession and you're not using both at the same time. Because the argument went back to CDs and ripping CDs to MP3s. And then when MP3 players came out, it's like, well, how do I legally get music onto an MP3 player? Well, if you own a license to play the music on a CD, it doesn't matter if you ripped it to a tape or ripped it to an MP3 file and played it on another device, as long as you're not using both simultaneously, using it in a public place for public consumption. So that would be, you can't take a CD and go play it for your church youth group. That's actually a violation of the music license that you purchased along with that CD. Don't get me started on movie licensing and public performances and all that kind of crap, because that is a long drawn out road that I spent many years navigating for various institutions.
I don't mean to stop you in your stream.
No. You have a barley wine. You interrupt.
This barley wine is actually quite well done and very good. A little on the plummy side, which I don't mind, but man, it's kind of got some caramel plummy notes. It's absolutely delicious. It's the kind of barley wine I really, really like. And it being 11%, enjoy this one. This is good.
Nice and warm now, are you, Steve?
Oh yeah, I am. Good to go.
Yeah. But yeah, like playing your library that you legally own for your own personal consumption, not for, public playback or charging admission or sharing your library with someone else or a large enough group. There are actually per person limits as far as what size group can hear the music while you're playing it. Again, don't get me started.
Yeah, just about every single wedding that's out there pretty much violates that. They get to a certain crowd
Oh,
size.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's actually more than like 5. If you have a family of 8 and you're playing music while you're cleaning the house and everyone can hear it, you are violating the terms of your agreement, good sir. Although if that song comes on the radio, then it becomes fair use. And so I don't know.
But if you tape it off the radio and then replay it off that,
and taping off the radio has been declared fair use all the way back in like 1987 when cassette tapes started hitting it mass market. That if you played it for public consumption and there are devices out there that can capture it and play it back later, that's also what led to being able to program your VCR to record shows at 8 o'clock and not have to manually set it, because that was also a lawsuit that went all the way up.
Yeah, I know. Oh yeah, there was a big lawsuit about that.
Yeah. Well, we're airing this at 8 o'clock, and if they're not watching it at 8 o'clock, they shouldn't get to watch it, or if they're not there to hit record on their VCR while it's airing, they shouldn't be able to watch it. Well, you broadcast it over public airwaves, and they have a license to view it, so all they're doing is shifting time. And again, shifting time was a major deciding factor in deciding the license rights of the license holder.
It kind of just blows my mind how quickly we've changed how we consume our media, with just within like the last 7 years, really.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even up till about 10 years ago, going onto a cable channel and waiting for the time to watch a show, that was still pretty mainstream. And nowadays, that's almost completely foreign to a lot of people. Like when I tried to tell my son, he's only 5, but I mean, because he gets really annoyed with the ads on his YouTube channel whenever he watches like a Minecrafter playing something and an ad comes on and he's like, ah. And I'm like, it's only like 10 seconds. And I'm like, we had to endure at least, 5 minutes of ads.
Yeah. Oh, it was 3 minutes, 3 times during the show, and 7 minutes after it stopped.
Yeah. And within that time, you only had that time to go pee, go get a snack. You got real efficient at going upstairs and picking out a snack and coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole MPAA, RIAA versus the rights of your individual licensing is an argument as old as music itself, almost.
And the way to propagate it now, it's I think they just kind of given up because there's just no way they really.
They haven't given up. Their current tactic is to go after single parents who have no ability to even do recourse, and so they will still go after you for downloading MP3s if your kid downloaded something.
I haven't. I heard of that case. Gosh, probably about 10 years ago. I did hear about that, but I haven't heard anything lately.
There was one recently enough that we talked about it on the show.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I don't remember what that was, but yeah, if it's recent.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's their latest tactic. And I actually brought up, well, there are limits to what should be the punishable amount for stealing, which is what they're claiming, stealing a video or stealing a song or something like that, because it's the retail value times 8.
Yeah.
So levying a $250,000 punishment for downloading a piece of music, that seems like against our rights, but that's what the MPAA and RIAA managed to negotiate through Congress by lining the pockets of various legislatures and, or sorry, lobbying. And yeah, I said I didn't want to get into music licensing. Megan, stop. All right, we're moving on now. I know there's a conversation about DIVX happening, which is amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I still remember the DIVX format.
Yeah, and we're not talking about DIVX, the codec, which still does exist.
Yeah, which still does exist. What nobody really uses.
No one uses DIVX anymore, right? But no, DIVX, the format, which came out a couple of years after DVDs. And it was a dial-in license rental service where you would go to Circuit City or, you know, before Best Buy, you know, wherever you would go, you know, Software, etc., or wherever, Walmart, you would purchase a disc of a movie. And the two that I still have somewhere are Deep Impact and Small Soldiers. These were DVD discs.
Still sound like they're legit movies, but still sound like they could be porn movies.
Right. Boy, were my parents surprised. But you would purchase the disc, and it would be something like $15. Which was actually a deal for the movies back then, because the DVDs were selling for like $30 and $35 when these first came out. And so you take the disc home, and the copy of the disc includes the right to play it back for, I believe it was 3 days. And so you put it into a special DVD player that also had DIVX that was connected to your phone line, that would then call in and tell DIVX to start the timer on this license. And you had 72 hours to watch your movie. And you can watch it as many times as you want in 72 hours. And then after 72 hours, your player would no longer play the disc. However, you could re-rent the license for like $5. And so you could enter your credit card information into your DIVX player and re-buy a license to watch Deep Impact again.
And why didn't this take off? Oh my gosh, why did this take off?
Right. And as it turns out, if you bought a DIVX player, then sometime around 2003, 2004, as a result of a class action lawsuit for false advertising and a couple other things, you would have received like a $50 check from the DIVX Corporation for broken promises. Yeah, that was a relic of some of the first instances of online DRM for movie playback that would limit your licensure for specific titles. It's back before Sony figured out how to install Secure ROM through playing back an audio disc on your Windows PC.
Oh yeah, wasn't the way to get around that is to use like a marker, and then you mark to the edge of it.
Yeah.
And then it wouldn't read it, and it would just let you go straight through it.
Yep. And you could throw the disc away, right? Yeah, if you never planned on watching it again, you could just throw the disc away. And DIVX only had 4x3 pan and scan titles. That is not true. I know Small Soldiers was a 2-sided disc that I could turn over and watch either full screen or widescreen. It was such a waste. Yes, it was, Mr. Gearling.
It was.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was very.
But we're moving on. See me moving on? I'm done talking about licensing. Done. Raspberry Pi removes an iconic user from their default installs. So, anyone who ever had a Raspberry Pi knows that your Raspberry Pi comes with a default user named Pi. And the default password is Raspberry. This has been a staple since Raspberry Pi came out.
Oh my gosh, yeah, very first.
Right, with Raspbian and later what was renamed to Raspberry Pi OS. It has been a staple of, the Raspberry Pi image. However, as Raspberry Pis have been placed into production as servers, they're a self-hosted.
Oh yeah. Well, you can connect them to the internet, so I mean, yeah, people can reach them if you want.
Right, they're a favorite new default user, Redshirt Jeff. I'm really upset, by the way, that I didn't think of Redshirt Jeff first, because I have Editor Jeff and I have Mirror Universe Jeff, and we both have beards, so it's really confusing who's on screen. But I'm really
evil Universe Jeff's he's completely shaved.
Yeah,
and his kids are scared of him.
Yeah,
because he's completely shaved.
Yeah. No, he's not completely shaved. At least not his face.
That's
it's really tough to tell us apart in public.
Yeah. I can see.
Yeah. Anyway, because Raspberry Pis are so loved by a lot of people who do a lot of self-hosting, and they're often connected directly to the internet, they have a security issue on their hands where the default user and password is included in every single Raspberry Pi, which is Pi and Raspberry.
And everybody knows about it.
That has become one of the go-to sniffing username and password credentials that will hit your firewall. I started seeing it show up a couple years ago in firewall logs, where you would get admin and admin 12345 and admin love and root and root admin and all these other kinds of things. Plus you'd see the HP defaults and Supermicro defaults and whatnot showing up, and all of a sudden you started seeing Pi and Raspberry for SSH exception. And of course, if you have a good firewall, they're being denied. But if you have a Raspberry Pi that's directly plugged into a WAN connection and accepting incoming service,
yeah,
you could have gotten owned.
You could have gotten hit. Yeah.
Right. So, I will say, good on the Raspberry Pi Foundation for finally realizing that this is more than just a tinkerer board, and that there's a difference between knowing and knowing. Is what I kind of liken this to. And that Raspberry Pi, the foundation, is a fantastic organization and really does have the nonprofit mindset of getting technology into the hands of people who wouldn't ordinarily be able to afford it. And especially with the Raspberry Pi 4, you can have an affordable desktop computer for $100. Like, you could be online for $100.
Oh yeah.
And that's fantastic. And it's open source and it's tinkerable and you can do whatever you want and whatnot. The downside to that is because it's such an accessible board and it's so easy to deploy and it's so easily manageable and it runs all open source software and it's just a Linux kernel and it's just this and it's just that. And it's so inexpensive that you can run it in almost any scenario where you need something to just kind of toss out there and run a digital signage display or log weather patterns and air quality out in the middle of a field somewhere with a WAN connection.
Super simple functions.
Right,
yeah.
Super simple functions. It's fantastic for that.
Yeah.
And there's the difference between knowing and knowing. Raspberry Pi understood that people use it for that functionality. However, they came at it from the accessibility mindset of it's great to have a default username and password. They didn't come at it from a security perspective of maybe that's not a good thing. So they've always understood the market for Raspberry Pi is massive. And now they're kind of addressing the need to look at some security settings. And silly YouTubers keep pimping the things, right?
No, they are great, but you're right. That is a big security hole, especially if you hook them up to the Internet of Things.
Yep. Perhaps California laws on default logins kicked in properly, and that could totally be a thing that happened. This was impending an impending enforcement that they had to do if they wanted to distribute Raspberry Pi OS in the state of California, which I'm assuming they would like to do. Did I see the new PCIe card on CM4 boards? Of course I did. I commented on that Twitter thread. Gosh, I tweeted out the mining board so we could like make an 18 Pi cluster on with an x86 backbone. Like, yeah, I'm game. I'll fly out to St. Louis. IoT should Internet of Things should Internet of Default passwords, security cameras, home NASs, etc. Yeah. The thing is, we're almost to the point where every single device that has a network connection should either be defaulted off of remote connections, set up to deny anything outside of a local LAN connection. Although you still have the issue of what if I just have a security camera connected directly to a cable modem, because I just need to broadcast that feed. I don't want to put a router out and triple my cost of deployment. But it's almost getting to the point where every device should come with a randomly generated password.
And it wouldn't be that hard to do. I mean, just put a little sticker on the side. Every password's different. Although, if you do lose it or peel it off or something like that, you're kind of screwed. You have to go factory reset.
Yep.
I guess I guess if you do a factory reset, you have to burn in the chip what that random password is.
Right.
That is kind of an expense.
You would also have to have a way, if you didn't hard code each password into each device, a way of randomly generating a password and a way for the user to retrieve said randomly generated password.
Yeah, and to securely retrieve that password,
right? It's
only locally on that device. You have to be there to locally.
Right. It's one thing on non-embedded software. So, starting up a Linux server or a service on a server somewhere, and it installs an Apache web server and gives you a default password for your first login. But it's a randomly generated password, and you're seeing it during the install script. You're seeing the output of that device. That's one thing.
Right.
It's completely another thing to have a Raspberry Pi, which may be being deployed completely headless. How do you set up a random password for that? And how do you have the user retrieve it without plugging in an HDMI monitor every time they want to retrieve said password?
Yeah.
So there's cost in that. There's
there is.
Yeah.
There's no real super easy way of doing that. I mean, low tech would be like, okay, well, each ROM that we print out for this thing is going to have a randomly generated number that's going to be the default password, and we have to put a sticker on it. Then when we sell it,
yeah,
God help you if you lose that sticker, you know.
So we do have a couple super chats from Tech Geek. $5 says Jeff Fafa. JEPHPH for my my alternate Evil Jeff spelling.
Jeff Fafa.
Jeff.
Fafa.
Fafa. Yeah.
Jeff Fafa.
Denver sends over $2. Jiff or Jeff opinions. And Jeff Geerling says it's Jiff and it's Jeff. Couldn't agree more. I'm just going to imply the pronunciation you wanted, and you know I'm right. So I'm older than you anyway, so I'm just going to claim superiority and leave. Have you seen the dancing baby video from Ally McBeal? Oh yeah, the GIF? Yes, I have.
Oh, that GIF, yes. That's totally how it went.
Search your feelings, Red Shirt Jeff. You know it to be true. Okay. Moving on to NFT news. Jack Dorsey's first ever tweet on Twitter. Sold as an NFT. It initially went on sale for $48 million, in which Jack Dorsey said he would donate 50% up to $25 million to charity. Has sold for $280.
No, Jack Dorsey didn't sell it. I guess it got sold
right
by Jack Dorsey. Somebody bought it.
Yeah.
And then they tried to sell it as an NFT, and it only sold for
right
$280.
Okay, yes.
Yes. Although, yeah. Well, this is because when I first saw this, I thought, did Jack Dorsey do that? And I'm like, that doesn't seem right. No, it wasn't. It was some Saudi national, I
That's
believe.
right, because Jack Dorsey sold the tweet like last year or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So some crypto entrepreneur named Sina Estave, or Estavi, I guess.
Yeah.
He bought the tweet from Jack Dorsey
as an NFT for $2.9 million.
Yes. Put it on sale for $48 million, thinking that NFTs are just going to take off, especially some first tweet from Jack Dorsey. And it gathered the paltry sum of $280. If that doesn't tell you how stupid NFTs are, I don't know. Nothing will. Someone really, really thought NFTs were going to take off.
If it looks like money laundering and it smells like money laundering and all the early money has already invested in it and is now trying to bail on it, it's probably money laundering.
Exactly. Yeah, you know what? You're right. NFTs is like the perfect money laundering scheme.
Right. There's no tangible product.
Make a doodle on a napkin.
Crypto is like the MLM for
NFT. Men. Yeah, and be like, hey, I made, and then put it up on sale for $48 million. Have your shell company buy it. Money laundered right there.
Yeah. Yeah, Ian says NFT, no effing thank you. Could not agree more. NFT equals Ponzi scheme. Right. Bro, you just don't get it. NFTs are the future. You just don't get it, bro. Tell you what, I will mint an NFT for every frame in this live stream. And you can buy each one of them for a penny. Like, I'll sell you the NFT for any individual frame you want for a penny. You want the whole bundle, I'll sell it to you for like, $3,000.
Wait.
That's a deal.
That one's going to be at least a nickel.
Right.
There you go.
Well, there's like 70 frames there.
No, I know. Those are 5 cents a piece.
Right. How many NFT games are actually games and not RNG pull or not rug pulls? Right. Yeah, not the futures token. Yeah. And I say this for NFTs as well as crypto. Like I'm in the camp that the people who get into NFTs and crypto are the same people who get into gold is the thing that you want when the government goes under. You want to buy gold and silver and diamonds and raw minerals and what that's going to be what's worth things. And I've said this before.
Well, a lot of people do that because of stability, not because they think it's going to be something bigger.
Right, but
yeah.
But it's traditionally like the preppers and things of that mindset.
Yeah.
Not that I have anything wrong with, a somewhat prepper mentality. But those are the bros that I often hear repeating this stuff.
Oh yeah, they think like
when the government fails, you're gonna want to have some Ethereum in your wallet.
Yes, I don't know about that. That is not very convincing, especially with how manipulative the market for cryptos can be.
Right.
That doesn't seem, investing in gold makes more sense than investing in crypto when it comes to like,
Ray Hell says he wants frame 69.
That's a whole quarter. That's going to be a whole quarter.
Right. Yeah. 25 cents for frame 69 and $4.20 for frame 420.
Yeah.
You want the nice stuff, you got to pay a nice price. Yeah. And Ian says he has 5 figures in crypto. Crypto is fine so long as people maintain that it holds value.
Yeah.
The thing for me, it is so volatile. And I've talked about crypto in general about there's no traditional backing for the value of it. It's valuable because people say it's valuable, which anymore, that's kind of why, other things have value too.
Yeah.
But at least with things like the US dollar, it's the US gross domestic product that backs our currency and says our currency has value on a world stage and even, intra borders. But why does crypto have value?
Because everybody says it does.
Right. It's a non-traditional currency without a backing to it.
there was a modicum of processor power that was used to produce it, and as it gets higher, that energy to produce it gets significantly higher. So I don't know. Maybe it's backed by energy consumption, which doesn't make any sense really. But it does have some kind of value if it's being traded and people are putting their money where their mouth is. So there is money to be made there. But
are you saying you trust the government over your fellow man? I don't trust anyone, if I'm being honest.
yeah, I can always go back to the barter system. I got a whole bunch of old keyboards that I can trade for a goat if I need to.
Yeah. Crypto has value to people involved in ransomware. There you go. Why
That's
does gold
true.
have value? Or diamonds? Or at least gold is conductive. True. Gold and silver and diamonds, and I put diamonds in quotes because
diamonds isn't as rare as people think. But
they're not rare. They're artificially controlled, much like crypto.
that's true.
Outside of silver and gold, I think diamonds are the most equitable thing to crypto. They're valuable because the diamond companies tell you they're valuable, and you need diamonds to get married and get engaged and give it at every 10th anniversary that you have, and you want to spend thousands on this engagement ring because she's worth it. Even though we've got 17 million of them and all have been farmed with blood money. Like,
if I only could convince that my nose hairs are more rare than diamonds, that they'll be using that for currency sometime in the future.
Again,
it's
I should have been collecting my bottle caps the entire time
Yeah.
I've been running craft computing, just for the lulz of it in like year 17.
Yeah, rarity doesn't always automatically equal value.
Right.
I mean, it does if it's collectible.
Well, it depends. Have you shopped eBay? Rare mints, blah 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 blah. It's like, yeah, I had 3 of those when they were new.
Oh yeah.
3D effects, rare.
Just because you say it's rare doesn't mean it's rare.
Yeah. As someone who just paid off a wedding band, diamonds can eat my butt.
Yeah.
From right now. I have similar thoughts. So I have a wedding band. I was young, dumb, and full of something. And
yeah.
Gosh darn it if I didn't give Zales Jewelers $600 for my tungsten wedding band. Which, by the way, I was years old and couldn't afford it, so I just financed the damn thing. So
yeah,
I think my $600 band ended up costing me like $1,800 because I didn't default on it, but I also made minimum payments for like 7 years on the effing thing. So as we did the same on my wife's engagement ring wedding band set, like, gosh darn it. And you bought your wedding bands because that's what's expected.
That's what I expected. Yeah. I think I paid $1,500 for both mine and my wife's.
Yeah, we were into it for slightly more, but you're also slightly older. Yeah, I'll give you inflation.
Yeah. You give me some inflation. But yeah, I think that's what we did. And I don't even wear it anymore. It doesn't even fit me anymore. Who cares?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I will say, I would probably have a much different opinion on crypto had I gotten into crypto earlier and was actually invested in it.
And made like a whole crap load of money off it.
But that's because I would then have a vested interest in the value of crypto. And so it's also this weird thing where I'm on the outside criticizing it.
So you got the sour grapes, so you're like, I didn't make any money off it. So
it's not even necessarily sour grapes. It's even at the beginning I'm going, okay, so we're mining what? We're doing calculations so someone can... Oh, blockchain? Okay, I understand blockchain, or at least the very, very basics of what blockchain is.
Yeah, so I did too, yeah.
And whatnot. And I understand how blockchain itself could be a valuable technology, but why is evolving the blockchain of Bitcoin and Ethereum worth something on a monetary basis to the end users who hold a piece of the blockchain? It's a blockchain to keep track of the blockchain. And Where's the
Yeah.
value?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so I understand that. But I also understand that I considered renting out shut down computer labs from colleges over, summers when they weren't being used for like the lab rental fee, and there were computer labs that you could rent for like $100 a day that had GTX or even
Yeah, you get the computing power to mine a whole bunch of
Quadro
Bitcoin if you want. Yeah.
Quadro K2200s and such in that. Not the best computers in the world, but you get 35 of them running together. I'll pay the $100 rental for the day and just let my software run for the next 30 days. I totally considered that. I'm not into it for any of my hardware. I'm not into it for any electricity costs. I'm just into it for what the college would charge me to rent the lab for whatever process I want to run that day. Craft Computing, did I see that the Russians took the RTX 2000 series GPUs out of the computers at Chernobyl as they withdrew? I had not seen that.
What? They were
So apparently when the Russians withdrew from Chernobyl, they took out the RTX 2000 series graphics cards that were in the computers running the Chernobyl.
They have computers running Chernobyl?
The computers that are running in Chernobyl, apparently they had some RTX 2000 graphics cards in them. So like RTX 2070s, 2080s.
I didn't think there was anybody in Chernobyl.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's still a manned facility.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah, but the Russians took it over at one point, and then they had to withdraw from it. They lost it. But apparently the Russians stole the graphics cards on their way out.
I mean, I guess it could be run by somebody. I thought it's like just became a tourist destination for people who want to see like, creepy abandoned cities or something like that.
Yep.
Bring back Beowulf computing. Oh yeah, Beowulf computing.
All right.
Beowulf clusters.
Yeah, I got to a point where you could have holidays in Chernobyl. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
They would take tours into Chernobyl. It became like a tourist attraction.
Right.
I didn't know there was people actually like there.
See, one of the greatest natural meltdowns in or one of the greatest man-made disasters in modern history.
I mean, I loved the miniseries. I thought miniseries was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well done and excellent. They found a way of making something completely invisible very like tense and creepy. Like you can't see radiation, so how do you depict it on the screen? But they found it looked like there was tense moments. I thought it was quite well done. One of the best miniseries I've seen in the last couple of years, definitely.
Yeah, the workers monitoring Chernobyl can only work there 3 days a month. And we now know why the Russians invaded Ukraine. RTX.
Yeah, that's what they wanted.
Yeah, if you've ever been to Russia, it's not ray traced. It's really weird.
So, they got, and I think ironically, didn't they stop like development of Stalker 3 because of it, which was supposed to take place in Chernobyl?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. We could sit here all night.
All right, let's keep going.
You could win free beer for your entire city just by recycling. Tell me more. And is it actually beer?
Well, yes. Okay. I mean, if you consider, Budweiser products beer, but it's not just recycling yourself. You have to go to a Major League Baseball game. So there are certain cities and certain Major League ballpark franchises that are participating in a recycling contest. So basically what it is, if you between I think opening day and I think what is it, the end of May, there's a time where you can go, and if you go to these games and you get a beer, and then you take that beer and you recycle it, and then they'll count that up, and the city who has recycled the most will get a free beer.
So this is happening in 10 major league ballparks, including St. Louis Cardinals, Houston Astros, San Diego Padres, Texas Rangers, Washington Nationals, have all committed as inaugural members of the National Recycling League.
Yeah.
I will say Moda Center, Portland Trailblazers, they are huge on being a green facility. You hear about it 30 times every single game, every single concert that you go to there. They regenerate more energy than they consume. They are a green facility. And it's because of recycling. It's because of things like this. So
I thought they hooked up generators to the players' sweat glands.
That too.
Yeah, they could just like generate energy that way.
Yeah. I'll keep the 10 cents a can for myself, thanks. Well, yeah, but that's only in like, what, 3 states?
Yeah, no, I think there's not too many. Just Oregon and
Michigan are the 10 centers. And then there's like Connecticut, Vermont, Montana, and a couple others that you can still do 5-cent deposits. Yeah. Everyone else is going, what the hell are you talking about?
That's the thing. We had this talk about, yes, we can get 10 cents for our deposit, but man, do they make it a pain in the ass to do it. Luckily, we have bottle drop, which is very nice. Yeah. Where you have to buy the bags, and they're specialty bags. They're more expensive than normal garbage bags.
Yep.
But you just drop off. You fill up your bottles with those bags. You drop them off the facility. They'll count them up for you, and they'll put all that money in your account.
Yep.
There you go. And they even have sponsors by certain stores. So if you go to that store and spend that money from bottle drop at that store, you get a discount.
Yep.
So it's kind of nice. I don't know if they have that at other states, but we have that here in Oregon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like it's obviously a very Oregon specific thing for bottle returns.
No, it definitely is. I mean, it's much, much better than like standing in line and using those bottle return machines that break down like every 30 minutes. And you're like, oh, God.
Jeff can smell the old cans. Yes.
Oh, yes. No. That's one of the worst things. Before I started bottle drop, that was one of the worst, most dreaded things. And I used to let bags and bags of cans pile up before I take it to the deposit.
Yeah.
And I have to sit there and scrape out these old cans that stuck to the side of bags and stuff like that. It's like, and it's just the smell of old beer. Not great.
It's the worst thing in the world.
Oh, it
really is
so bad. Oh man, I'm so much more happier with using bottle drop.
Yes. Moving on. PlayStation wound up in a little bit of hot water this week over an alleged bug, which just so happened to target games that recently got remastered. Including Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI. And that is, PS1 classics like Chrono Cross and Final Fantasy VI are expiring on the PlayStation Store, and even if you bought a license to be able to play them, you weren't allowed to launch the game anymore, regardless of platform.
Right.
Strangely enough, Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster just showed up on the PlayStation Store this last month, and might make a nice upgrade if you were looking to replay this game, So the bug was reported. Apparently the expiration date on these games had reset itself back to 1969, which in some cases I'd say nice, but in this case not so much. And people who wanted to play these classic PlayStation games were being denied even though they legally owned them. So yeah, the download date, you could only download it if you were downloading the game before 12/31/1969. So people were unable to install and run the game.
Unless you can time travel, but then you could.
Right.
Because there was plenty of internet back in 1969.
Oh yeah, it's how we got to the moon. Was the internet?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally.
I mean, it's how Scorsese, broadcast the moon landing.
Exactly. We had all this modern technology back then that nobody knew about.
Yeah. Or sorry, no, it was Kubrick who broadcast the moon landing. It was Scorsese on Apollo 17.
Yeah.
Who rebroadcast.
Yeah, Kubrick was the first. He's the visionary.
Yeah. No, Scorsese was, he was hard on wanting that 30 FPS instead of the 12 that Kubrick did the original.
Right.
They use signed 64-bit epoch time counters. No, those are still going to expire in 2038 thanks to the Unix 32-bit clock rollover. So, hey, I corrected myself before
it says Stanley
Zachary
Kubrick.
saw this.
Yes, there you go.
I'm way ahead of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
He knows his conspiracy theory directors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, 2038 is unsigned, I thought. It's something like that. Oh, right. No, you're absolutely right. Because, yeah, 1/1/1970 would have been the start of the Unix clock. Okay. Yeah. 2038 is the unsigned 32-bit rollover. Right. You're correct. You are correct.
Tech Potato said the same thing too.
But it's only 2022, so how could that be a bug? The curious thing about this was it wasn't like an entire catalog of games. It was 3 games specifically that recently had remasters sent out. Like,
obviously,
what if we just sunset these?
Yeah. Some kind of oversight.
Yeah. Oh, come on. You beat me by the 45 seconds it takes YouTube to process comments. I did, but I'm still taking it because I still corrected that it was Kubrick and not Scorsese.
You did actually pretty close after you said it.
Right.
Switched from the Godfather to 2001 Space Odyssey.
Yeah. I thought it was a pretty good transition myself. Besides, we all know it was Scorsese and not Kubrick. Kubrick was just the stage name. Net guy sends over $1.99. Doubled my Patreon, keeping Rhett fed for another week. I appreciate that.
Oh gosh, yes, Rhett really appreciates that. He's getting tired of the chicken ramen. He would like the shrimp ramen now, so he really appreciates it.
So by the way, this is not an ad. My wife and I recently signed up for a meal delivery service, and I'm even drawing a blank. So
we've done those before.
So we tried HelloFresh and we tried another one, and I didn't have a great experience with one of the two of them, and I can't remember which one it was. Apollo 18 Endgame. Thank you. We had a bad experience with one, and we had an alright experience with the other, but neither of them were like, yeah, that was great. We found one that we are using right now, and we got it mainly so we can try new meals and stop, being in this rut that we're in of like,
oh yeah,
hey, you want tacos or spaghetti again? Like, you get in the rut of making like your 6 meals per week, and
we did the exact same thing.
Right.
We did find some absolutely wonderful meals that way.
Right, and all of a sudden, I'm opening my food palette a little bit more, and it's been fantastic. But we originally signed on for 4 place settings because I have 3 kids, 2 of which eat the same meals that me and my wife eat. And they hated every single one of them.
Oh yeah, I mean, kids don't like it, but yes.
Right. Like there was one that was this steak, but it came with a recipe to make like this apricot jam marinade sauce with like diced almonds and a couple other things in it.
Sounds great.
It was fantastic. And Miss loved it. Like loved the sauce. And we've had it like 3 or 4 times since then. But it's like this apricot chili with diced almonds and a couple other things. And it's so good.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. But yeah, for the most part, we can't do the meal kits because my kids just won't eat them. So we dropped it down to 2 meal servings per meal. So I think we get 3 meals per week, something like that, just to expand the library a little. Yeah, my kids hate them.
Yeah, no, we did the exact same thing where we did like, again, I can't remember the service because this was maybe a year ago. same thing. We were like, we're tired of the same old. Let's go try these different meals. And because they give you the recipe when they ship it to you. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, here's the ingredients, but here's also the recipe. So if you really like it, you can try and recreate it yourself. And yeah, we found a ton that we just absolutely really, really like and that we recreate now, even to this day, that are just absolutely great.
Yep. Anyway, the reason I brought that up is Rhett has been one of the primary beneficiaries of these meal kits that we're getting, because oftentimes we'll end up making them for lunch. And Rhett's here for lunch, and so Rhett eats free when we make lunch. Like, if we go out to lunch, Rhett pays his own dime. But you know, if we're eating at home, and probably four out of the 5 days of the work week, we eat from home.
Yeah.
And we'll either have leftovers, or oftentimes it ends up being one of those meal delivery service meals.
Oh yeah.
And all of a sudden we're having, you know, fettuccine Alfredo and steak niblets with, you know, apricot chili sauce. And he's like, damn, this was a better deal than I thought I signed up for.
There's free food every time I come over here.
Plus he gets a beer at lunch. Like,
oh man.
Yeah.
It's not all those perks, man.
Yeah. I thought Rhett got all the scraps. Basically, yes.
But they're good scraps.
But they're really good scraps. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the most recent meal that was just absolutely dynamite. There's some Thai rice dish that came up, and it's like, yeah, we'll try that. You know, it sounds interesting. Like, I like Thai food. My wife really doesn't. But
I do.
It ended up being
everything.
just fantastic. And both Rhett and I were like fighting over the leftovers from that one.
There's very few things, because like John, very picky. I don't know if you know that, but he does not like to eat a lot of things. Maybe after his beer diet, he will be devouring everything, but for the most part, he doesn't like tomatoes, he doesn't like mushrooms, he doesn't like olives, he'll drink some pickle stuff, but doesn't like pickles.
Right.
I will eat just about anything.
Yeah.
And I will try it.
I'm kind of between you guys, where I will try anything, but I also have some hard no's.
Is pickle beer one of those hard no's?
Pickle beer's a hard no.
Now he's got that mustard pickle beer. Yeah, come on, you gotta try that.
Mustard I will have on things if it came on something, but I'm really not happy about it. Like it's not a flavor that I will ever seek out on my own.
Man, like my favorite meal is just like a big ass charcuterie board with a bazillion things on it.
And I will say, and no one let John know this. Pickles are, I have to say, 99% of the time a hard no. Like a hard mushrooms are if it's on there, I cannot stomach it. I just cannot.
Really?
Mushrooms.
I love mushrooms.
Flat out.
Delicious.
GTFO. I'm done. I ordered a burger on a lunch outing with a bunch of colleagues one time, and it was a Swiss burger, and I specifically said no mushrooms. Like, everything else on it sounds amazing. Like, it had red onion, or fried onions and a couple other things on it. It's like, oh, that sounds great, but no mushrooms.
No mushrooms.
Burger arrived. I looked all around it, didn't see any mushrooms. Took a bite, immediately bit down onto one, and I nearly vomited. Like, it's one of those kind, and it's not even like a mental thing. Like, I'll see the mushroom, and then I'm like, oh, right. I can't eat this. It hit my teeth and my tongue among the rest of the burger.
Okay. I can see that, because I can kind of see where people do not like the texture of mushrooms, and they are chewy, and I can kind of see people don't like them. Now, what if they were like chopped up really fine and you didn't know they were in there? Would you like? I
have done that. If you ever go to PF Chang's, you can get the lettuce wraps as an appetizer, and those have some tiny little diced mushrooms in that. I can do that. Yeah. As long as it's not like an entire
take a lot of flavor.
Yeah. Right, as long as it's not an entire, like, I like the flavor of mushrooms. I don't necessarily mind mushroom cream soup. It's just raw or cooked, just straight up like portobello's. No, 1,000 times no. But even pickles, I have to be hungry enough, I will say. So I was on like this 3-hour road trip with my dad one time. We had to go like 3 hours one direction, pick someone up, and then come 3 hours back. It was brutal. And we got there, and it's like, I need to get something to eat before we go home. Screw it, there's a Wendy's right there. So pulled in Wendy's, ordered a triple cheeseburger, and just went like, just give me whatever. And got on the road, forgot that not only does it come with mustard, it also comes with pickles on the Wendy's triple cheeseburger.
Good.
And whatnot. And I bit into it, and I dislike mustard, and I abhor pickles. And I went, I'm hungry enough, I'm just gonna eat it.
I'll eat it.
Like,
yes.
Normally with pickles, it's like I'll pick them off. Like I really don't like pickles. I don't want to stomach them. But I was in the car, and I was the one on driving duty, and it's like, I was pissed off the whole time, but I ate it.
You're gonna eat it anyway.
Had I bit into a mushroom, I would have vomited out the driving window. Like, so I have my heart outs.
Yes. So I mean, I guess if you don't like pickles, you probably don't like relish either. Then.
Yeah. Relish in a very, 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 very fine and small quantity. Like if I get like a tuna salad on a sandwich and it has a little bit of relish mixed in,
I can't tell it's there. It's okay.
Like, I can kind of tell it's there. Like, it's got some crunch to it and whatnot, and I can pick up a little bit of dill flavor or something like that. I can stomach my way through it. If it's 50-50 relish and tuna, no, I'm out.
I'm seeing all these weak people in the chat. Like, I can't take celery. I can't.
Right, and
come on, guys, come on.
John will tap out at like, oh, I don't like provolone. Like,
what? Provolone's good.
I know. No.
Provolone's delicious. It's the most mildest tasting cheese.
I know. I was being facetious in like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But John will tap out a lot sooner than I will tap out. But
yes, no, I can see that.
But when it comes to certain things like pickle beer with mustard, I'm not going to actively seek it out. I know I'm not going to enjoy it. I'm not even going to put myself in a situation where I would have to.
Put that there. You should.
I'm just not.
It'd be fun.
I'm just not.
It'd be great.
I don't enjoy the sensation of putting something in my mouth I don't like.
I know, but it's not as if I sit there and spout out that, hey, I'll try whatever.
Here's the deal.
It's not as fun if I try.
I will try 99% of things. If it has mushrooms in it, I'm not going to try it. If it has pickles, I'm probably not going to try it. If you say, hey, Jeff, do you want to come down and help me review a mustard pickle beer? The answer's just no.
Come on.
Like, no. So Overthinking Tech says picklebacks. My brother-in-law, his shot when we go to a bar is he will do a Jameson Black Barrel and a pickleback. Like that's his go-to.
Yeah.
No, because number one, Jameson don't need no back. And number two,
no, Jameson is good.
Why would you back it with pickle? Like, for the love of all that's sacred.
To be fair, yes, I do not get the pickleback thing. I like pickles, I really do, but chasing pickles with certain alcohol, I have never gotten.
Yeah.
It doesn't really enhance anything for me.
No.
I did the pickleback beer, didn't really do anything for me. I still like pickles.
Yeah.
I really do, but it didn't really enhance it any way or the other. So.
Yeah.
I guess maybe some people like it. Fine.
I also have rules when it comes to eating specific foods. Like, we're from Oregon. We're 90 minutes from any coast. I've lived within 90 minutes of the Pacific Ocean my entire life, with many, many massive major rivers that are popular for fishing. Mm-hmm. I don't eat fish more inland than I am right now. Like, Bend is pushing it, but I will eat seafood in Bend only because I know they get daily deliveries from the coast.
This is true.
If I go to Denver, I'm not ordering cod.
The closer you get to the coast, and the fresher you can get the fish, the better it will taste. And that's for just about any type of seafood. Mm-hmm. Shellfish, seafood, that is 100% the case.
Right.
Yes.
I will say, ironically enough, the worst seafood meal I have ever been served at any restaurant my entire life was in the Mission in San Francisco. Like, where you have no excuse.
Right there, yeah. They probably scraped the bottom of the freezer or something to get you something.
Oh God, it was
you don't know,
bad.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
old frozen fish is probably the worst thing ever. It's just not good.
Yeah. Ian and I do agree on one thing: no cilantro, no coriander. Now Ian says it tastes like lawnmower clippings. I can't do cilantro because I have that gene that it tastes like dish soap.
Yeah. Well, see, I don't have that gene, but I kind of on the thing where too much cilantro really ruins a dish because then all you taste is cilantro.
Right. But I feel that way about a lot of different veggies and add-ins that you would toss onto a dish.
Right.
Like onions are a garnish, not an ingredient. Like
It's true.
Like
No, it's
like if I'm eating a burger, I don't want to take a bite out of a quarter slice of an onion. Like
no, I mean
I don't mind a
absolutely
couple rings of an onion on a burger
right.
for
A good recipe is going to have a balance of flavors on everything.
correct.
Anything that has one overpowering flavor of the other, what's the point? Just eat that one thing that's overpowering at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need it. That's what makes a great recipe is a balance of flavors.
Sean wants to know, what about a triple imperial chocolate pickle IPA?
We did actually do a review of an imperial. What was it? It was an imperial Kool-Aid rum barrel aged pickle beer. And that was actually not that bad. The spicy one was disgusting. But
Yeah.
the Kool-Aid one was just not bad. It was not bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, certain things should be garnishes or flavor enhancers, not an ingredient unto themselves.
Right.
And I put like onions into that category of like what I want when I eat into a burger is I don't want a ring of onion like solid all the way through. That's just a slice out of an onion that's been dropped on top of my burger because that's too much onion.
Especially if it's a red onion.
Right.
If it's a white onion, it might not be the
If it's a white onion, yeah, but I also use white onions and onion rings. I don't want to bite into an onion ring and bite into a red onion. Like,
yeah, red onions just
there's limits, right? I feel that about a lot of different things, like cilantro. Like, you go down that list. I can stomach a slight amount of cilantro. And lucky for me, there are some phenomenal taco places around here.
Yeah, no. You know where I live, and you know there's like there's taco places. I can throw a rock and hit a taco place around here.
Yeah. Yeah, the taco scene in Oregon is above average, to say the least.
It was kind of funny. So I have a coworker because I work remote, and so I have coworkers all over the country.
Yeah.
And one of them, he lives in Phoenix, Arizona, and he was vacationing in Bend, and so he's like, "Hey, I'll come up from Bend after we stay in Sun River, and we'll go have lunch or something like that. What do you want?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, you got to come and try our Mexican food. We have the really great Mexican food." It's like, Oregon's got good Mexican food. It's like, yeah,
you have
got
no
some
idea.
of the best.
Right.
We have some of the best. He's like, nah.
No, I'm from Phoenix.
Arizona. I'm from Phoenix. I got great Mexican food. He's like,
right, like I'm 150 miles from Mexico. Like I know my Mexican food.
Yeah,
it's like,
no, and
bro.
I don't doubt that there are some good Mexican places in Phoenix, but we have a huge Hispanic community here, and I've literally like walked down Front Street in our town and had like some Mexican grandma grilling me up some fresh gorditas with some fresh ingredients, and it was like one of the best things I've ever had.
The grocery store I used to work at had a taqueria inside of it.
Yeah. I mean, we got some really great taquerias around here, and they make all their own fresh salsa and everything. It's delicious.
Yeah, and apparently the number one place to get a taco in Oregon is Victor Rico's, which is a fairly local chain. But there's one very close to my house, and I will say they're the best around here.
Go there all the time, yeah?
God, it's good. Get a chimichanga the size of your arm with guac and sour cream and pico.
Yeah.
And beans and rice and
a good pico de gallo, you just cannot beat that.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
In fact, I had that for lunch the other day. And man, was it hard to work when I got home from
Are,
that.
are we changing this to the cooking channel here?
We
Is this
may.
gonna be like craft come cooking?
Yeah, craft come cooking.
Yeah.
Cooking with craft. There you go.
Cooking with craft. There you
Uh, good thing they're talking about Oregon and not the PNW, because the rest of the PNW has crap for Mexican food. I will say absolutely
I
so.
will say that, yes.
Yeah, you don't go to Washington and brag about the tacos.
It was funny story because yes, in certain places in the Pacific Northwest we do have some great Mexican food.
Yeah.
And
there are specific pockets within Oregon that have the best
yes.
Mexican food.
Right.
How's that?
So we had for a time we had a service that my company provided. This is like going back 15 years probably,
Mm-hmm.
where we would do hazardous chemical inventory for big companies and stuff like that.
Do their
And
MSDS and things.
yes, exactly. And we did it for, I believe it was Pfizer, the pharmaceutical company, and they have international plants all over the place. And so the team that I was overseeing at the time went to Ireland to do a facility. And Ireland would be a great place to go. I mean, you get to go there and hang out in Ireland and look at the local culture. But the hotel that they were staying at was during Cinco de Mayo, and for some reason, this hotel in Ireland was celebrating Cinco de Mayo, and they were serving like Mexican cuisine at an Irish bar at the hotel in Ireland. And I'm like,
yeah,
what did the Irish think taco was? Or how do they interpret Mexican cuisine?
yeah.
And how does it compare to what we have now? And they're like, it was god awful.
Yeah.
It was like cafeteria style tacos that you would get like in 5th grade.
Right.
That was their
using the leftover sloppy Joe meat from the day before.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yeah, they would take their bangers and mash, chop it up, put it in a taco shell, throw some cheese on it, and like, yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
that's what you get.
So Grocery List says, I spend a lot of time in Portland and I still disagree, and I'm assuming that is from the I'm from Texas and I disagree about the taco scene in the PNW. You can disagree about the PNW as a whole. There are pockets within Oregon.
Yes, I would actually agree. Yes, I would agree, because
as a whole,
there are definite places outside of here. You go to to Bend.
Yeah.
Let's say Bend, even Salem. Even Salem is not as good as some places.
Yeah.
But there are definite pockets
where
there's huge Hispanic communities, and you can find some absolutely amazing Mexican food.
Yeah.
It's pockets where I would agree, probably if you went to Texas or Arizona, they're going to be easy to find.
Yeah.
A lot more than they are in Oregon, but not to say we don't have great stuff out here.
Our barbecue scene, not as good. Like there's a couple pockets again. Like there's 1 or 2 restaurants around here that do it okay, but nothing like I've had in
absolutely not
in Texas. Like I'll give you barbecue, I'll give you some other things, but
I cannot find a good Philly cheesesteak sandwich to save the life of me around here either.
Yeah, Philly cheese is a tough one.
Yeah.
Yep. I am certifiable says North and Northwest Salem and Woodburn are good, South not so much. I will 100% back up both of those statements. And in fact, you hit the one that you probably want to go to get Mexican food.
Yeah, Woodburn. Right there.
Yep.
Absolutely.
There's a reason Obama on his presidential tour stopped in Woodburn to have tacos at Louise's. Yeah. Just saying.
Yeah.
He didn't even hit the taco trucks around there. He just went to Louise's.
No. Well, they didn't have taco trucks at the time, but we do have in Woodburn now a taco cart area.
Yeah.
Where it's just dedicated to taco cart.
Yeah.
And they have one type, but
Salem has a similar area now, down on Market, with a bunch of different food carts and whatnot. Also, Portland's got their food cart city. But and that's right, East Salem. As you get out towards anyway, there's a taco cart or a food cart city out on the east side as well.
Well, the Yard, there's the Yard over there in Salem, which I really like there. They have one of the
The
best
Yard,
Indian
thank you.
food carts
Yeah.
I've ever been to.
Yeah.
Super delicious.
Yeah. Yeah. So
we burn up our time talking about food, man.
We did.
Now I'm getting hungry.
Yes.
Should we burn through these real quick? The rest of this stuff?
One of them's blockchain. Screw it.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of want to mention it just real quick, because this is like kind of a heartbreaking thing.
Yeah, it's the former Unreal dev team.
No, Ultima Online.
Or Ultima, excuse me.
The Ultima, yeah. It's
sorry to throw Unreal under the bus. My sorry.
Yeah, Richard Garriott, who
it's the other you from
Ultima
97.
Online and a lot of Ultima games, which I absolutely loved. He's making a new gaming studio, and they're going to be focusing on the blockchain. Gross. I don't want to do that. I loved Ultima Online. I loved Ultima games, but man, I that's one thing I just cannot get behind.
Yeah.
So, too bad. I don't think you want to go anything else, or you just want to call it.
No, that's pretty much it. I really didn't care about
right.
the last two anyway.
Yeah, I just threw them in there because I didn't know if we had enough stuff to talk about.
Yep. All right. Well, now I'm freaking hungry.
Yeah,
so,
no, me too.
Gosh, I apologize for all of you watching late at night or early in the morning or whenever the hell you're watching, because it's probably not mealtime.
Next time I'm gonna come with my best cheap ramen food hacks.
Yeah. Best thing I have within arm's reach is some peanut butter trail mix. So
it's still good though.
It's still solid, but it ain't no taco.
No.
It ain't no chimmy. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching episode 230 here on Talking Heads. We are here every Wednesday night at 8 a.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to Craft Computing if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to Hops and Brews if you like the beer content you see on this channel, and you might see some familiar faces over there. Follow me on Twitter at Craft Computing to keep up with daily shenanigans like this. I do have a brand new video coming out first thing tomorrow morning that a lot of you will probably be interested in if you like self-hosted cloud gaming, Chinese X99, and AliExpress water cooling. Intriguing combo. Yeah. Join us for the after party. Tonight's going to be a big one.
We're going to be eating.
Yeah, a lot of us are going to be eating. A lot of us are calling up Diner Dash going, no. Victor Rico's is still open, I swear to God. Yeah. Join us in the after party. There's going to be quite a scene in the after party tonight. For those not aware, I'm not going to say anything because it's not technically affiliated, but there's going to be a really cool thing in the after party tonight. So make sure you're there. Join the Patreon so you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and get access to the exclusive Discord where you'll talk to us. And every Wednesday night after the show, we will typically be on for at least about 90 minutes, chatting with you on video for whatever topics happen to come up.
Of course.
Thank you all so much for watching. As always, see you next week.
See you guys.
Cheers, everyone.